Hello, welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. Today I'm gonna be doing Does Anyone Else Part 2. It was a lot of fun, and a lot of people liked it last time I made it. And it is an easier video, admittedly. This Easter weekend has kind of punched me in the gut with flashbacks and stuff, so hopefully y'all enjoy this. Like always, this is for casual conversation. There's nothing scientific really about these questions. It's just questions that fellow survivors have had throughout a number of my survivor groups. So I figured let's talk about them and see what we can all relate to. So let's get right into it. First, does anyone else wake up feeling triggered and or age regress to childhood? I very much feel this one. I actually just woke up and I spent most of the morning so far crying, feeling like a child. So this is very fitting for my morning so far. Yes, I usually wake up triggered out. Like I think I mentioned this in the last video. Like when I go to sleep, I'm triggered out, and then usually when I wake up, I'm pretty triggered out, and it takes me a while to ground and just function with any normalcy. I am not really sure how common this is for all survivors. It's not a question that I've asked a lot of survivors, but there's definitely a survivor I have talked to about this, and she very much agrees with me. She has very similar feelings than I do about this stuff, so maybe it's more common than just us two, probably. All right. Next, does anyone else question? Does anyone else feel like an alien in their body? I can very much relate to that feeling. Although I think I'd replace the word alien with robot. Sometimes I feel like I'm a robot stuck in a body when I don't know, I get in these weird moods where it feels like I'm emotionless and it feels like I don't fit right, like it feels weird and it's really hard to explain, but it feels like my body isn't mine, I guess. Well, that'd be like disassociation in a way. That probably is disassociation now that I think about it. If you don't feel right in your body or it's uncomfortable or like you can't feel anything, that's probably a disassociation issue. But what do you guys think? Do you ever feel like an alien in your body? Or a robot, for that matter, since that's the line that I kind of drew from it. All right, let's do the next one. Does anyone else feel tired 24/7? In other words, does anyone else experience extreme fatigue? This is another strong positive for me, and I have talked to a lot of survivors who agree with this. My real life girlfriends who have PTSD, I have a few of them, and they always relate to me hard on this one of just being tired, of like waking up and it's like you already want a nap but you can't nap all the time. But oh my gosh, it'd be nice if I could nap all the time. I very much feel the fatigue part of it. I'm not sure if it's like adrenal fatigue that's made me tired all the time or adulthood. I don't know, but I definitely feel tired all the time, and I can definitely notice more since I have a toddler and he is just so energetic, and it's like I have a hard time getting out of my chair to go get food or to go make lunch. Like that is a huge chore for me where I'm just tired and I don't want to move, and that is a struggle every day. I've gotten a little bit better about functioning more, but it hasn't really made the tiredness go away. I feel like my motivation's just gotten better, and so I've learned how to deal with the tiredness better. So how about you guys? Do you guys feel tired all the time? And if so, why do you think that is? What's the main feeling making you tired? Is it just tired, or is there some anxiety, do you think, that's keeping us exhausted? All right, let's head on to the next one. Does anyone else look weird in pictures, possibly due to armoring? This is a very good question. I remember talking to a fellow survivor on the Discord a long time ago. I'm not even sure if he would remember this conversation, but we were sharing, childhood stories. And we both noticed that especially in our middle school to high school pictures of like being taken pictures with friends or out and about with family, whatever it was, we always looked kind of dazed and confused. Like I didn't smoke pot or anything through middle school and high school, but I look like a stoner in pictures. Like I'm just not fully there. And people used to make fun of me for it and be like, oh, you look like such a stoner all the time. And it's like, well, I'm not smoking pot, so I don't know why I look like a stoner. But then I saw this question. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, and for people who don't know what armoring is, now I'm just doing this off the top of my head, so I don't know how professional it will sound, but it's when you protect yourself from emotional and physical harm all the time. Your muscles will be tensed up, along with a level of disassociation that kind of protects you from being vulnerable. It's like preparing yourself for a fight, for sadness, for anger, for anything all the time will put your body in a very tense state, along with your brain being on a certain level of disassociation pretty much all the time. So that's not fun. And I definitely noticed that a lot more in my childhood pictures than my adult pictures. But part of that is also I get a lot less pictures taken of me now because I don't like the pictures. And it makes me uncomfortable. And part of that is just I don't like looking at myself, but that's sort of into a different question. But, look back and think about it. During your childhood in those pictures, especially once you started becoming old enough to really see the stress in your face and in your body, do your pictures look weird in a way? Like, does it look like you're kind of off in a different place? Or, maybe they don't look different. And if they don't look different, that doesn't mean that you weren't traumatized. That just means that you have a different experience. Okay, next one. Does anyone else think someone is often watching them, eavesdropping on them? Oh, I should have added or eavesdropping on them. I used to suffer from these thinking patterns a lot more, especially pre-recovery, early recovery. I was very much not totally obsessed with it, but I did isolate a lot because I didn't want people looking at me. I didn't want people eavesdropping on me, and being home made me feel safe. I isolated for a long time just from general fear of the public and general fear of people noticing me. I can very much relate to this. And I still have this problem sort of still. Like, I live out in the country and I have like a few nice country neighbors or whatever. But even just sitting outside, sometimes I get paranoid that I'm being watched. Sometimes I get paranoid that like ex-abusers are going to drive past my house and find me. I still suffer a little bit from that paranoia, along with just genuine worry of being watched and eavesdropped on. But going out in public has kind of gotten better for me because I've changed my perspective slowly about, people don't really care about me that much. They don't really care about other people that much to really pick me out of a crowd and be like, oh, what is that lady doing? So I've made progress on that one. And then other parts of the paranoia I still need to work on. So how about you guys? Do you ever feel like you're being watched or eavesdropped on? And if so, how does that affect your behavior? Okay. So, next one. Does anyone else suddenly see themselves from an outsider or from outside as seen by an observer? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I butchered that sentence. Okay. So seeing yourself outside as an observer, I have definitely done this quite a few times. I can't even remember the first time that this happened to me. Well, I sort of can, but I really don't want to get that deep into that video. But yes, I have definitely experienced this. A lot of people that I've talked to in the survivor communities have experienced this. Depersonalization and derealization are two terms I would definitely look up. Off the top of my head, it's just, I think it's depersonalization where it looks like you are watching yourself from outside. I'm pretty sure. And please double check me and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that one. But I have definitely felt this. Last time I had this, I think it was when I was getting off of a medication that didn't mix with me well. And so through the withdrawal symptoms, I had really strong depersonalization episodes where it was like I was standing behind myself and watching. Or sometimes it's like I'm watching myself through a TV screen and I'm sitting like in a dark room and I'm just looking through this TV screen and I'm watching myself move my arms and I'm watching myself talk to people and do tasks. And there's a part of me that's like, wow, look at that person moving along without me telling her what to do, but it's a very uncomfortable feeling for me. Like, I don't like that feeling at all. And from what I've heard, other people don't really like it. It's very, I don't know. It doesn't feel right because it's very disconnected. And even though it's a little bit cool to watch yourself do things automatically and be like, dang, look at her autopilot. That's really fascinating that her body can do that. It's more distressing being like, I can't feel my arms. I can't feel my legs. I don't really have control in this situation. That's really terrifying. Like, that's way more terrifying than like the coolness of, oh, my autopilot can do quite a few things. So yeah, I've definitely experienced a lot of that. I experienced a lot of this while I was still working after high school. I would experience this a lot during work and that sort of thing. It is not a fun feeling to be stuck in. Yeah, definitely. So remember to put down below if you can relate or whatever. Join the Discord and talk about it. All right, so let's do the next one. Does anyone else feel like they attract abusive people and buckle under their influence? I have been talking about this quite a bit with quite a few people, both on the Discord and in real life lately. And I would say personally for myself, yes, I definitely have the ability to attract very toxic people and abusive people. And I feel like part of that comes down to a dynamic that is fostered in childhood, especially if you have an abuser parent along with an enabler parent. And what I did was I very much empathized and took on the role model of the enabler parent. So once I started making my own friends in teenagehood and early adulthood, I very much found friends that fit that dynamic of what my parents had with an abuser and an enabler. Since I am pretty darn good at enabling, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I was very good at enabling, and also you get really good at forgiving people. You get really, and it's not even full forgiveness, you get really good at repressing the horrible things people do to you and be like, it's fine. I still want them around because I don't want to be lonely, because they talk to me, we have lots of laughs. And that's another thing, is that enablers and abusers, right? We fit together like a puzzle piece. And so that chemistry that's there can be really strong. And they can be the people that make you laugh the hardest because they get your sense of humor that you were brought up with in an abusive household. So it feels like home. It feels like nostalgia. You're going to be attracted to it and be like, oh, wow, this feels right. But that's your brain tricking you, because what feels right in your brain is being uncomfortable, is being abused, is dealing with huge adrenaline rushes along with drop-offs. That is your natural home when you get out of an abusive environment. So it only makes sense that you would attract the sort of people that you had in your household. And getting around that takes a lot of time. It's usually really painful, and I feel like a lot of people are always going through this, especially in survivor communities, realizing that their friends are really toxic, or realizing that their partner has been emotionally abusing them and not knowing how to handle that. It's a really sad, hard part of recovery to go through, is realizing that you've attracted more people that you want to get away from. And it's not like we do this on purpose. We didn't do this on purpose. We were trained to get along with people like that. So the first people we're going to get along with in adulthood are more people like that. So I definitely love to hear your thoughts and comments on that one. Let us move on. We have a few more left to get through. Does anyone else notice inconspicuous things that no one pays attention to? Like, more people don't pay attention to something the more I pay attention to this. And this was from a lovely person on the Triggered Care Discord, this question. And then we talked about it for a little while, and then we kind of delved into like noticing custodial staff at a huge event where everybody's paying attention to the speaker or the performance or whatever, and for whatever reason our eyes will go to the custodial staff and think about them and be like, oh, I kind of want to help them, and you feel like this kinship towards them. Or like something like that, where like you're in a group of people and then something weird or little is going on in the background, or not even weird, just like there's activity going on in the background. So while everybody's attention is focused on one thing, you're focused on this little thing that most people wouldn't even notice or think about. And we were talking about that for a bit. And I think for me, I definitely do this where I notice, especially custodial staff or people who are cleaning up or whatever it may be, I will notice them too. And I think it's because we connect to the people who are worked, especially overworked and underpaid. We will definitely notice those people and want to connect with them on a certain level, because we can relate to that experience. At least that's what I was theorizing. If you got a different meaning out of this, please share it in the comments. I love to hear it. But yeah, that's what it made me think about. It made me wonder. So, next one. Does anyone else have issues with overdependence? And I would also like to throw in the term here, codependence, even though the author didn't. So overdependence, codependence, where you overdepend on someone I can definitely relate to this with my husband quite a bit. I overdepended on him for a long time, and I'm finally getting into the groove of, my therapist, and I have girlfriends and him still, but I spread my dependence a little bit, and I put even some on me more. Like, okay, I can help myself through this. I have coping tools. But that takes a super long time. Early recovery, you are going to feel over dependent. And it's my theory on it. Now, this is just a theory of mine. I am not a doctor. I am not a professional. My theory on it would be that parental love hole that we got, where we want to be wanted, we want to be desired, we want to be useful, we want someone to see our value. So when we find somebody nice, or when we find somebody who clicks with us, we are going to grab onto that, and we are not going to want to let go. And we're going to be like, hey, you're my person now. You better give me all the love I need. You better give me all the assurance I need. And if the person that you're doing this with also has codependency issues, they're going to latch on too. And that can lead to really unhealthy habits, a lot of heartache and hurt over breaking of trust, because you put such an immense amount of love into that person. And so I can definitely relate to issues with overdependence. 100%. That is a really rough spot to be in. All right, last one for the day, since this video is getting way longer than I anticipated. Does anyone else feel drained after a panic attack? And I might add a little bit to this one. Does anyone feel drained after a panic attack, an episode, a flashback? Because I think all of those are sort of tied in, because with a lot of my flashbacks, I'll get a panic attack. Or with a panic attack, it can lead to a flashback. And it makes sense that we would be drained after this, considering the muscle tension that all of our muscles go through with contracting and retracting, along with the heavy breathing that's going to make you feel exhausted and lightheaded, along with the emotional burden that's coming in and waving out and coming in and waving out. I definitely feel drained. I think I've talked before on a flashbacks video about how, sometimes I'll be in the middle of an episode, and like I was saying with the waves of sadness and the waves of panic, where I'll just pass out in the middle of an episode because I'm so exhausted and I'm so tired, because it is literally exhausting to go through an episode. It is. Or there's plenty of times where even having a night terror, even sleeping can be exhausting, where I wake up just drenched in sweat and my heart's beating real fast. And that's it really sucks when you cannot get your good sleep in because you're so adrenalized. And I think that all comes back to we have way too much adrenaline just popping off in our brain that very much cause fatigue. It will cause exhaustion. Naps are very necessary for recovery, in my opinion. You get all the naps in that you can, because yes, episodes, flashbacks, panic attacks are intense and they are very draining. If you have any panic attack stories or any of that stuff, share them down below. Share them on the Discord with us. All the links for the resources, for the Discords, which is CPTSD Discord and Triggered Care Discord, along with Facebook, is all down below if you'd like to click on them, along with my email, in case you have a story or a video idea or whatever you want to share with me. And I I got other videos in the works. I just want to say this real quick. I have other videos. I got a lot of video ideas that I'm really excited about. But Easter week, the week before Easter and the week after Easter is kind of kicking my butt. So thank you for sticking around and, enjoy this video while I get my eggs in a row and finish the other videos that I've been working on forever now. So yeah, I hope everybody else, or I hope just everybody is doing well, and y'all need to have good ones.